Every 39 seconds in America and the UK, every 39 seconds a woman is raped, forcibly raped. 7 out of 10 of those rapes are never investigated. 4 out of 10 never even reported. Now I ask, when you think about the so-called inhumanity towards women in Afghanistan, and the inhumanity towards women in Saudi Arabia, and the inhumanity towards women in India or Africa or Somalia or wherever else that we want to liberate these women from, do these same statistics exist? Absolutely not.
I would argue, I've come back from Morocco recently, the level of prostitution in Morocco, by 7 people I spoke to, was like running at 80% of young women are prostitutes.
Yeah, I will agree with you, excuse me, I will agree with you when it comes to Morocco, but I didn't name Morocco. Just a moment. I didn't name Morocco. No, it's not a Muslim country at all. Okay, the countries that we are preoccupied today with liberating about the issue of oppression against women is not Morocco. The countries that we are engaged in trying to liberate and talk about oppression against women today, the countries that are spoken about are Afghanistan, the country that is spoken about is Saudi Arabia, the country that is spoken about is Pakistan and India. These are the countries that are commonly spoken about. Now, Morocco has long since been a haven for drugs, prostitution, but I remind you that Morocco was colonized by Portugal and Spain, and they brought prostitution and drugs into Morocco. So I agree with you, I've been there. But that's not the preoccupation in the countries that we're talking about. Now let me use those few countries that are commonly pointed at. The Afghani women. Did any Afghani women themselves ask America to come there and liberate them? Absolutely not. They didn't. Did any Saudi women, I'm not talking about the ones that escaped from Saudi Arabia, and maybe rightfully so, but did women in Saudi Arabia rally, write, protest, and ask?
How do you know that?
Because I lived there. Well, excuse me, because I think I said previously, and brothers and sisters, please, if a person makes a statement, first, if you have a question, you have to ask me. If I'm a little long-winded, that's a little bit of my priority, I think, my protocol or my preference. But just raise your hand and I'll recognize you. The other thing is, anyone that asks a question, I'm not a stand-up comic here, so I'm not saying things as a comedian. And we should be patient, tolerant, and we should be respectful. If a person asks a question or makes a statement that we don't agree with, we shouldn't laugh. The Prophet didn't teach us that. We should be tolerant and listen to what she has to say, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. And I don't have all the answers. I have the answers from my experience, from my exposure, to the best of my ability. And I'm trying to be fair and objective. That is, where there's an indictment against Muslims, I'm going to say what I saw, and I'm going to agree. But that is not an indictment against Islam, because Islam doesn't accept that. The punishment in Islam for a man prostituting a woman is death. Now you may say that's inhuman, but that's why there's a difference in Islam from Islamic constitution, Islamic civilization, and others, because in Islam it's not tolerated. Now Muslims who do it are criminals. Muslim countries that do it are criminal countries and deviant countries, and there are many of them, definitely, but that's not an indictment against Islam. What I'm speaking about is, what is the treatment? And my sister, she asked, what is the treatment of women according to the Quran? Women are mothers, they are sisters, they are daughters, they are wives, they are human beings. And they have the same rights in the sight of God as men have. And socially, Their rights are even more than men in some cases because they are the hands that prepare the future generations. Now that's what the Quran tells us. Now if Muslims don't act that way in some cases, that's not an indictment against Islam.
I suppose all I objected to was the suggestion that only Western countries have prostitution and have abortion and have all of these things, when the treatment of women as prostitutes is endemic across all cultures and all civilizations. So singling out Western countries.
Well, I only single it out because Western countries have the most glaring statistics of prostitution. Western civilization have the most glaring statistics of pedophilia. Western civilization have the most glaring statistics when it comes to the addiction of drugs. Western civilization has the most glaring statistics when it comes to the addiction of alcohol. Western civilization has the most glaring statistics when it comes to people addicted to cigarette smoking. And the cigarette production started in Western civilization. Western civilization has the most glaring statistics when it comes to murders, homicides. Western civilization has the most glaring statistics when it comes to armed robbery. Western civilization have the most glaring statistics when it comes to children born out of wedlock, children that don't know who their father is. Western civilization has the most glaring statistics when it comes to people who are locked up in industrial complexes called prisons. Western civilization. And I only point out Western civilization because they claim to be the champions of human justice, social justice. They claim to be that, and they go all over the world, policing the world, or polluting the world, whichever we want to say. Now, if they didn't make such claims, I wouldn't point them out. I would simply say that these are statistics that we find everywhere in the world, but these are statistics that found themselves most glaring in the sophistication of Western civilization, and in most cases, began, the industry of it began, and then was transported into those countries. And you only have to be a student of history to know that. You only have to be a student of history to understand that. So I'm being critical where I think it's necessary to be critical, only to say that it is not fair for people who consider themselves to be educated, sophisticated, westernized, modern, or whatever the case might be, while it's evident that Western civilization, I'll give you another statistic that you need to know. Suicide is in its highest rate in the Western civilizations than it is anywhere in the world. These are people who should be satisfied, happy, stable, educated, but they're not. Disparagement, depression, anxiety, and suicide is witnessed more in the Western civilizations than anywhere in the world. Now, these are sociological statistics. I don't say that this doesn't exist in other places, but why should it exist in a place where people are supposed to be the champions of human rights, social justice, who are offering to the world their new world order, and who say that women are mistreated in other places, yet the greatest disparagement, where in the world do you find naked women on a billboard where even children can see selling a candy bar? I mean, it's just absurd. If we want to talk about oppression and the indignity and indecency and the oppression and exploitation of women from the time that they are young, nowhere is it personified greater than it is in the Western civilization.